So now that you have picked a theme for your film and a rough storyline for the film that you want to make, the next step before you begin storyboarding is to think about which genre you want that film to be. So you're not writing a story, it's not a written exercise, it's a visual one. So you want to think about how will someone know from watching your film whether it's comedy or horror or sci-fi or fantasy. So a good way to think about that is that if I had two screens in front of me and one was showing me a horror and one was showing me a comedy, and I paused them and then showed them to you, you would know without having to watch the film which was which, just from how it looked. So you want to think about how would you know the one was horror and how would you know it was comedy. The lighting's probably really different, the colours, there's shadowy faces or bright colours, there's creepy music or there's happy music, and the characters' faces and all of that, all of these little visual cues add up to creating a genre on film. So with your storyline, if it has a happy ending or a sad ending, probably determines a little bit which genre it's going to be. But think about that now before you start storyboarding so that you can drop little hints in along the way as to how the viewer will know which genre that is. So once you've decided that in your group, it's time to start storyboarding. So this is a sort of blank template of the storyboard. These are available to download free on the Seek website if you want to do that. You can also create your own, that's totally fine. But for now, I'm just going to show you on this. You can see that the storyboard is made up of blank boxes and little lines for some descriptions. So what a storyboard is it's a scene-by-scene breakdown of the film that you want to make. It visually shows us what it is that you think that you want to make. There isn't much room to write, so you can feel free to number these, turn it over and write more on the back. You want to have your opening shot here, and that will sort of establish the world that we're in. It'll be like a wide shot of, say, a classroom. Then maybe you want to move to a close-up of something happening with some pupils. Then you want to come out a little bit and talk about what happens in the next scene and just gradually take us through the story. You can have as many of these pages as you want. Your film doesn't have to be only 6 scenes long. An average entry is about 2 or 3 of these pages. The other thing to remember is that we at Seek get entries, we get storyboards from schools all over Scotland. So you want to try and make sure that your storyboard is neat and tidy and coloured in. Stickmen are probably a no-no. Scribbly writing that we can't read makes it really hard for us to understand the story you're telling. So you want to remember and bear in mind that we do see loads of these. So you want to make it colourful and bright and look like you've put loads of thought and effort and energy into telling us your idea. There is nothing worse than we read all the way through and then can't read what happens at the end because of the scribbly writing. So just make sure for our benefit that you do that. You can also create your own storyboard, as I mentioned, so you can turn this into a 1 page for one scene, another page for another scene, big colourful piece of paper with bits stuck on, whatever you like, as long as what you send us tells the story that you want us to understand. So once you've done your storyboard, you can move on to recording an audio or video clip explaining your idea. And these have to come to us, remember, by the 3rd of December.